Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've been feeling the heavy, crushing weight of daily pressure lately, I want you to know right up front, your stress is completely valid. But the good news? You don't just have to live with it. Today, we are diving into some highly actionable, perfectly science-backed biological hacks to help you take back control. You know that feeling when you are absolutely exhausted, but somehow you're just too wired to actually rest? Oh man, I know so many of us hit that exact wall. You've been running at literally a million miles an hour all day. You finally lay down in bed and your brain just decides, hey, it's the perfect time to review every minor mistake you've made since 2014. It is incredibly frustrating to be wired and tired. But listen to me, this isn't a character flaw. It's a biological response, and it's one we can actually hack. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the toll of chronic stress. So before we start hacking anything, we really need to understand the physical baggage we're lugging around every day. Because there's a huge difference between two specific types of stress. On one side, we've got acute stress. This lasts anywhere from a few seconds to a few weeks. It's that evolutionary fight or flight response designed for pure survival, like, dodging a fast-moving car. It comes on fast, it leaves fast. But on the other side, we have chronic stress. Now, this lasts for months, sometimes even years. It is that constant, always-on modern anxiety, a looming deadline at work, financial strain, or just an overflowing inbox. See, our bodies were perfectly engineered for those acute situations, but nowadays, we are increasingly trapped in that chronic, always-on state. Just think about that for a second. When acute stress hits, your heart rate can easily skyrocket to over 100 beats per minute. Now, imagine carrying a consistently elevated heart rate into your chronic daily life. Even if it stays just within what doctors call the normal range, that consistently elevated rate forces your heart to work harder, more often, physically wearing the muscle down over time. Because the physical toll of all that chronic stress on your cardiovascular system, it's honestly a bit frightening. Your body responds to constant tension by basically flooding itself with adrenaline and cortisol, which then leads to widespread inflammation. And that inflammation is directly linked to high blood pressure, which literally tears at your blood vessel walls. Then, as your body scrambles to repair those microscopic tears, it encourages rapid plaque buildup in your arteries. And let's not forget, on top of all that, chronic stress totally tanks our habits. We skimp on sleep, we eat poorly, we stop exercising. So if you are feeling stressed out, validate it. It is a very real, tangible, physical burden on your body. Okay, let's take a collective deep breath here, because there is good news. Your body actually comes equipped with a built-in reset button. Yep, it's called the parasympathetic nervous system, and it is the exact biological opposite of that frantic fight or flight response. When we activate this system, it acts like a giant brake pedal for your body, sending an immediate signal of safety and calm. But to really understand why we even need to push that reset button, we got to talk about cortisol. This is your body's main stress hormone. Now, it's not all bad. It naturally rises in the morning to wake you up and spikes to help you manage real threats. But in our modern world, it's essentially a biological smoke alarm that goes off every single time you make toast. You get a rude email, the alarm goes off. Stuck in traffic, the alarm goes off. We need to intentionally learn how to reach up and switch that noisy alarm off. Which brings us to Section 2, hacking your nervous system. Because here's the thing, we don't just have to sit around and listen to that alarm blare all day. We can actively turn it down using very specific targeted biological hacks. In fact, research shows that taking just 3 deep breaths can measurably change your heart rate variability within 30 seconds. 30 seconds. That is literally incredible speed. It means that within half a minute, just by intentionally extending your exhales, you are sending a direct physical signal to your brain that says, hey, we're safe. You are manually activating that parasympathetic brake pedal. And this brilliantly illustrates our next point. Section 3, the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding method. So this is just a super simple but incredibly effective way to interrupt your brain's default anxiety loop when you feel yourself starting to spiral. Next time you feel that panic rising, just pause and use your senses to anchor yourself right in the present moment. Here's how you do it. 1. See. Look around and specifically name 5 things you can visually see. 2. Hear. Close your eyes and identify 4 ambient sounds around you. 3. Feel. Notice 3 physical textures, like maybe the fabric of your shirt or your feet resting on the floor. 4. Smell. Take a deep breath and find 2 distinct scents. And 5. Taste. Name 1 flavor currently in your mouth. By forcing your brain to process all this concrete sensory data, you are literally diverting energy away from overthinking. You ground your entire nervous system back in reality. Moving right along to Section 4, 2-minute micro meditations. Look, I know a lot of you watching are incredibly busy professionals. You literally do not have the time to just run off on a week-long silent retreat to find your zen. But you absolutely have 2 minutes. And these techniques are highly actionable. First up is the 4-7-8 reset. It takes just 30 seconds. You inhale for 4 counts, hold it for 7, and exhale for 8. That long, extended exhale instantly calms you right before a stressful meeting. Next is the body scan. Take just 2 minutes to mentally observe the tension from the top of your head all the way down to your toes, without judging it. Perfect for winding down right before sleep. Finally, the anchor breath. For just 1 to 2 minutes, focus entirely on one single aspect of your breathing. It's an incredible tool for when you're stuck in a chaotic environment or just waiting in a long line. You can easily slip any of these right into a packed daily schedule. All right, Section 5, soothing senses and sips. So beyond just breathing and focusing inward, we can actually use our external environment to our advantage too. We can use auditory and taste-based sensory interventions that naturally regulate the body. For example, there's this utterly fascinating biological phenomenon called entrainment. Basically, your heart naturally tends to sync up with rhythmic sounds in your environment. Research actually shows that listening to music with a tempo of 60 to 80 beats per minute naturally slows your own heart rate down to match that exact rhythm, drastically reducing stress hormones within minutes. So turning on some slow jazz or classical music, it isn't just nice background noise. It's a literal physiological intervention. And hey, speaking of physiological interventions, did you know the science of a simple cup of tea is essentially built on 3 key pillars? First is the chemistry. Real tea contains L-theanine, which is an amino acid that creates a state of calm focus and actively dampens your cortisol response. Second is the herbs. Many teas contain adaptogens. These are plants that actually train your body to cope with stress better over time. And third is the ritual itself. The physical act of boiling the water, smelling the warmth, and just sitting still for 4 minutes is, in itself, a parasympathetic intervention. It literally forces your stress hormones to take a seat. So if you're looking to build out your own sensory tea toolkit, there are a few absolute standout blends you should reach for. Chamomile is your classic, reliable, mild sedative, absolutely perfect for an evening wind down. Then there's Holy Detox, which uses the herb tulsi. It's a powerful adaptogen with clinical research showing it actively lowers cortisol levels over time. And Lavender Dreams, well, that calms the nervous system through its incredible aroma before you even take your first sip. Remember, the ritual of smelling and sipping is just as important as the herbs themselves when it comes to signaling safety to your brain. Now, I have to say this, and I say it with all the love and empathy in the world. You cannot out-engineer a chaotic lifestyle with chamomile if you are surviving on 4 hours of sleep and getting into internet arguments all day, right? These are brilliant, science-backed hacks, but they absolutely must be paired with the basic foundations of health. You've got to get enough sleep, move your body, and eat reasonably well. Tea and deep breathing are your companions to a healthy lifestyle, not replacements for it. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to chew on. What is one 2-minute sensory hack you can use right now to tell your nervous system it's safe? Whether it's doing the 4-7-8 breath, trying the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding method, or just putting on a relaxing 60 beat per minute playlist, you now have the tools. You have the power to turn off that biological smoke alarm. Pick just one, try it today, and take back control of your nervous system. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in this explainer. Stay curious, stay calm, and I'll see you next time.